Tonight, the city sky was draped in a deep blue, with streaks of light from towering buildings reflecting onto the pavement like distorted galaxies. Lily sat by the window, resting her head against the cold wooden frame, quietly gazing outside. She hadn't turned on the lights. Only the soft glow from her bedside lamp cast a gentle halo around her face. Lily liked nights like these, nights when the world seemed to slow down, when the city's noisy rhythm no longer invaded her small space. But at the same time, she hated them, because on nights like these, she felt emptier than ever. At school, Lily didn't have many friends. She wasn't exactly bullied or isolated, but she wasn't someone special enough to be remembered either. She existed quietly among the crowd, like a passing breeze, there, yet unnoticed. She took a deep breath and reached for the small notebook on her desk. The pages were slightly yellowed, filled with stories she had written about faraway lands and adventures she had never experienced. She turned to a blank page, but before she could write anything, a strange gust of wind slipped through the slightly open window, rustling the curtains. Lily shivered. The wind was cold. And then she felt it, a presence. Her heart pounded as she turned around. The small room was the same as always. Her desk sat neatly in the corner. Her bookshelf was lined with all the books she loved. But something felt off. And then she saw him. A boy stood there, right by the window, as if he had always belonged in her world. Moonlight bathed his silvery white hair, making it glow as though dusted with stardust. His eyes were a brilliant shade of blue, deep and vast like a summer sky, untouched by clouds. Lily didn't scream. She should have been scared, but something inside her knew this boy wasn't frightening. He wasn't like anyone else. He felt like a dream. "Hello, Lily," he said, his voice soft, almost like a whisper. She took a step back, her heartbeat quickening. "Who are you?" He smiled, a gentle smile as if he had known her for a long time. "I'm Elias." The name echoed in her mind like a familiar melody. She had heard it before, or had she dreamed of it? Elias took a step closer, his movements as light as the wind. "I've come to take you somewhere." Lily swallowed. "Where?" He extended his hand toward her, to a place you once dreamed of. She stared at his outstretched hand, her heart pounding even harder. A part of her wanted to refuse. This was too strange, too unreal. But another part of her, the deepest part, whispered, "Isn't this what you've always been waiting for?" She hesitated for a second. Then she reached out, and the world around her shattered like a painting torn apart. Lily felt like she was floating. She wasn't falling, nor was she flying. She was simply drifting, as if she had become a part of the wind. She closed her eyes and let it carry her. Then, suddenly, solid ground appeared beneath her feet. she opened her eyes. Before her lay an entirely different world. The ground was soft, like grass, but it glowed faintly, as if made from fragments of stars. The sky wasn't the deep blue of night, but a shifting expanse of light, with shimmering rivers flowing across the heavens. The air smelled sweet, like a blend of wildflowers and morning mist. Elias stood beside her, his smile full of quiet pride. Welcome to the land of the forgotten. Lily walked forward cautiously, her eyes wide as she took in everything around her. The glowing hills, the trees sparkling as if dusted with moonlight, and there, amidst this magical landscape, she saw them. Children. They ran and played, their laughter ringing through the air. Some were drawing pictures in the sky with glowing fingertips. Others sat on rocks, listening to the wind whispering stories. But there was something strange about them. Despite their smiles, there was a flicker of sadness in their eyes. Lily turned to Elias. Who are they? He was silent for a moment. They are the forgotten ones. Her chest tightened. Elias continued, his voice softer. There are children who once existed, who once dreamed, but then they were forgotten. No one remembers them anymore. And when that happens, they drift here. A chill ran down Lily's spine. What happens if no one remembers them at all? Elias turned away, his blue eyes darkening. They disappear. Lily looked at the children again. Suddenly, she felt a pang in her heart. Before she could say anything, a voice called out, Elias, you're back. A small fox with fur the color of burnt orange and silver dashed toward them, its eyes twinkling with mischief. And right behind it, a girl emerged from the mist. She had long dark hair and storm gray eyes, silent and unreadable. You brought someone new? The girl asked, her voice soft but firm. Elias nodded. This is Lily. The girl's brows furrowed slightly. We need to talk. The memory eater has returned. A shiver ran down Lily's spine. This world was beautiful, but it seemed fragile too. Lily had never felt like this before. The vast land before her was bathed in a soft golden glow. The rivers shimmered like liquid light. The rolling hills sparkled as if woven from stardust. But now, something was different. There was a weight in the air, an invisible pressure settling over the world, as if it were bracing itself for something inevitable. Elias slowed his steps beside her. His usual warmth had faded, replaced by a quiet tension in his gaze. Do you feel it? Lily whispered, her eyes scanning the distant horizon. Elias nodded. His voice was barely audible. Yes, everything is going still. Lily looked around. The children who had been laughing and playing moments ago had stopped. Some stood silently, heads bowed, as if sensing something approaching. Fear flickered in their wide eyes. The children, Lily murmured. Elias turned to her, his expression unreadable. They know. We all know. It is coming. A hush fell between them. Lily didn't know what it was, but one thing was certain. Whatever was coming wasn't just here to take memories. It was here to take people. They walked deeper into the land of forgotten children. The wind had died. The luminous trees no longer swayed. Lily felt her breath slow with every step. She turned to Elias. "Have you seen it before?" Elias didn't answer immediately. His blue eyes darkened as if reaching back into a memory he'd rather not recall. Then, after a long pause, he nodded. Once. Lily waited, but he didn't say more. She didn't want to push him, but the silence unsettled her. "You don't have to tell me if you don't want to," she said softly. Elias gave her a faint smile, one that barely reached his eyes. "Are you afraid?" he asked. Lily hesitated. She didn't know. This wasn't the kind of fear she was used to. It wasn't the sharp, immediate terror of danger. It was something quieter, deeper, like the fear of losing something without realizing it was slipping away. She took a slow breath. Yes. Elias held her gaze for a long moment before nodding. "Good," Lily frowned. "Good, because that means you still remember who you are." His voice dropped to a whisper. "When it comes, people stop being afraid, because by then, they've already forgotten themselves." They stopped when they saw the small figure sitting by the river, a boy. He sat motionless on a flat stone, his gaze empty as he stared at his hands. The river's glow reflected on his pale skin, but he seemed fainter than the light itself, like a fragment of a dream about to slip away. "Noah," Elias called gently. The boy didn't respond. A few seconds later, his eyes blinked, but he didn't turn toward them. "Noah," Elias repeated, this time with quiet urgency. The boy's fingers twitched slightly, but he remained silent. Something was wrong. Lily stepped closer, studying his face, and when she looked into his eyes, she understood. He wasn't just quiet, he was forgetting. "Noah," Elias knelt in front of the boy, his voice laced with worry. "Look at me. You know who I am, don't you?" Slowly, Noah turned his head. His expression was distant, but deep within his eyes, Lily caught a flicker of something, some lingering memory clinging to existence. Noah's voice was barely a whisper. "I am..." "Who?" Lily felt a sharp ache in her chest. Elias clenched his fists. "You're Noah, don't you remember? You used to build tiny boats out of twigs and send them drifting down this river." Noah blinked. A second, then another. Did I? His voice was fragile, uncertain. Lily nodded, her tone as gentle as if she were holding his memories in her hands. "Yes, and you used to hum little songs no one else knew. You said they were the melodies of your dreams." Noah shivered. The darkness behind him rippled like a silent, creeping wave. Lily's breath caught in her throat. "You have to remember, Noah. Elias urged. "If you forget who you are, you'll disappear." Noah's small hands trembled. His breathing grew unsteady. His fear and confusion twisted together in his expression. He opened his mouth, but no words came. Lily couldn't let this happen. She knelt beside Elias, reaching for Noah's cold hands. "Noah, say it with me. What's your name?" The boy's lips quivered. A second, then another. "I'm Noah." A soft light flickered from his body. The darkness behind him recoiled as if something was pushing it back. Elias tightened his grip on the boy's hands. "That's right. You're Noah." Lily held on to him. "You're still here." And as those words settled in the air, the darkness vanished. Only light remained. Noah was asleep. Lily sat beside him, watching the faint ripples of the river cast soft reflections on his peaceful face. He looked at ease, as if all his worries had faded away. But she knew that just hours ago, he had been on the brink of vanishing. She clenched her hands tightly. "What if we had arrived just a little later?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Elias was sitting a short distance away, his gaze fixed on the endless night sky. Here, the darkness was not just black. It stretched into a vast cosmos, speckled with shimmering stars like dreams left unspoken. But tonight, the stars seemed dimmer. He was silent for a moment before responding. Then he would have disappeared. A cold breeze brushed against Lily's skin. "Can we stop this from happening?" she asked, a quiet hope lacing her words. Elias tilted his head slightly, his deep blue eyes reflecting the river's glow. "I don't know." "You don't know?" Lily frowned. This wasn't like him. She had always thought of Elias as someone who had the answers to everything. But now, he sounded lost. A small, bitter smile crossed his lips. "The only thing I do know is that when someone forgets themselves, they never truly come back." Lily pulled her shawl tighter around her shoulders. "But Noah is still here." Elias nodded. "Yes, but is he really Noah as he was before? Do you think he remembers everything that once made him who he was?" Lily opened her mouth to argue, but then she hesitated. Noah had remembered his name. He had escaped the darkness. But how much of himself had been left behind in that void? The thought sent a shiver down her spine. Elias picked up a small stone from the riverbank, rolling it between his fingers. "Lily," he said slowly, "have you ever forgotten something important?" She turned to look at him. "What do you mean?" He didn't meet her eyes. "A memory, a moment that should have stayed with you forever. But one day, you realize it's gone." Lily furrowed her brows, trying to recall if she had ever experienced such a thing, but nothing came to mind. "Not really," she admitted. Elias smiled, though this time it wasn't the playful, confident smile she knew. It was distant, as if he had glimpsed a door closing somewhere inside himself. "Well, I have." Lily felt something shift in the air between them. "What did you forget?" she asked. Elias turned the stone over in his hand, his expression unreadable. I don't know. Lily was taken aback. You don't know? His lips curled into a hollow smile. That's the worst part. There's something I've lost. I don't know what it is or why it mattered. I only know there's an emptiness inside me that I can't seem to fill. Lily clenched her fists. Now she understood. It wasn't that Elias didn't care. It wasn't that he didn't want to fight against this forgetting. It was because he himself was already part of it. Silence stretched between them. Only the gentle murmur of the river remained. Lily studied Elias, her heart growing heavier. Why didn't you tell me? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Elias tossed the stone into the water. Because I didn't want you to worry. Lily's hands curled into fists. You can't keep this to yourself. Elias said nothing. Lily met his gaze, unyielding. What are you most afraid of, Elias? He held her stare for a long moment. Then, very quietly, he said, I'm afraid that one day, when you call my name, I won't remember who I am anymore. Lily felt her breath catch in her throat. She had seen fear in Noah's eyes earlier today. That deep, gut-wrenching terror of realizing you were slipping away. But Elias, he wasn't panicking. He wasn't confused because maybe this had already been happening to him for a long time. Lily couldn't bear the thought. She reached out, taking his hand in hers. Elias, if that day ever comes, I'll help you remember. Elias flinched slightly, as if he hadn't expected her answer. Lily smiled, steady, determined. You saved Noah, and if it happens to you, then I'll do the same. Elias looked at her, his eyes softening. 1 second, then 2, and finally, he laughed. A quiet, genuine sound, free of bitterness this time. Thank you, Lily. She squeezed his hand just a little tighter, and beneath the star-filled sky, surrounded by fading memories and promises never forgotten, they sat together, 2 small lights in the vast darkness. But this time, Lily knew she would never let the darkness take Elias. She would never let him disappear. The gate before Elias and Lily was no longer just a doorway. It was a mirror, not just of light, but of memories. Thousands of images swirled within its fractured surface, like waves crashing within their minds. Faces flickered in and out. Voices whispered, yet remained unrecognizable. Elias stood still, his fists clenched so tightly that his knuckles turned white. Lily watched him in silence, sensing the weight of an invisible burden pressing down on him. Are you afraid? She whispered. Elias didn't answer immediately. He slowly opened his hand, staring down at it. Whose hand had he once held? Whose warmth had once lingered in his grasp? What had he tried so desperately to hold on to? And yet, at this moment, he couldn't remember. His voice was barely audible. I don't even know what I've lost. Lily's heart ached. There was no greater pain than knowing you had lost something precious, yet being unable to remember what it was. The wind picked up, carrying fragments of memories through the air, and then a voice called out, soft, distant, like an echo from the past. Elias. Elias froze. Lily heard it too. It wasn't her voice. It wasn't anyone from this world. It was a voice from long ago, a piece of the past that had been left behind. He turned abruptly, his eyes clouded with confusion. "Who's calling me?" There was no reply, but within the swirling fragments, a memory flickered into clarity. A young boy, not Elias, as he was now, but Elias from long ago. A child with bright eyes and a carefree smile. He stood beneath a vast blue sky, his small hand reaching out to grasp someone else's. And that person. Lily's breath caught in her throat. The boy was not alone. Beside him stood a girl, her long hair swaying in the wind. Her face was obscured, but her laughter rang through the air, warm, familiar. And then she called out his name, not the name everyone knew him by, but his real name, the one buried deep within his soul, the one only one person had ever used. Elias's eyes widened. He knew who she was. His throat tightened. He tried to say her name, but his lips were dry, his voice lost. The boy in the memory looked directly at Elias, his eyes reflecting the image of the man he had become, someone who had forgotten too much to remember who he truly was. And then the voice called again, stronger this time. "Elias, have you forgotten your own name?" Lily felt a shiver run down her spine, because at that moment she realized the voice was her own. The world seemed to stop. Elias lowered his head, his fingers trembling. That name, the one Lily had once called him long ago, he couldn't remember it. He tried. He wanted to. But like the tide pulling away from the shore, the memory slipped beyond his reach. Lily gazed at him. She stepped forward, gently taking his hand. "It's okay." Elias looked up, his eyes filled with fear and loss. Lily smiled. "If you can't remember," she pressed her hand against his chest, where his heart beat beneath his ribs, "then I'll remember for you." A shaky breath escaped his lips. His fingers, cold from doubt, slowly tightened around hers, and at that moment, the shattered fragments of memory began to glow. A strong gust of wind swept through. The gate trembled. The memories that had been lost were no longer locked away. And amidst the brilliant light, Elias whispered a name, the name he thought he had lost forever. His own name. The gate cracked apart, dissolving into a cascade of light. The memories that had been trapped were free once more. They soared toward the sky, merging with the glow of the stars. Elias closed his eyes, letting them return to him. Lily stood beside him, never letting go of his hand. "Do you remember now?" she asked softly. Elias opened his eyes. A small, peaceful smile played on his lips. "Yes." Lily studied his face for a long moment before she smiled too. "Do you remember the promise you made to me back then?" Elias's grip on her hand tightened. "I promised." He hesitated, then spoke with quiet certainty, "that no matter what happened, I would never forget you." A warm breeze brushed past them. Lily's smile grew brighter. "Then," she said gently, "you've kept your promise." They stepped through the gate. When Elias opened his eyes, he found himself standing in a vast golden field. The sun hung high in the sky, painting the horizon with its warmth. Lily stood beside him, her hair dancing in the wind. She turned to him. "We made it back." Elias looked up at the endless sky, taking in a deep breath that seemed to fill every corner of his soul. No more empty spaces, no more forgotten names. He smiled. "Yes, we made it back, and this time, more than ever." He knew their memories would never fade again. Good night.